Assalamualaikum to Dr. Syukrina Alini. I am ZAKIAH binti ZAIDUN, first presenter for my group. We present for our research title is Factors that Influence Stress Among Students in UITM. Background of our study. All of these are related with our research. Stress. Any type of change that causes physical, emotional, and psychological strain, we call it stress. One of mental disorder that becomes common among undergraduate students is stress. As a result, many courses and training provide to students in order for their future, which is can meet expectation from their employers and requirements. Second thing is workload. Workload is one of individual factors that contribute to university student stress. It is defined as the amount of work assigned to a person over a specific time period. Students becoming stressed if assigned workload of tasks and cannot handle effectively. According to the study, students may need to prioritize their workload and commitment to avoid over-involvement and workload. Then we go for time management. It is a process that entails establishing state, goals or objectives, defining time management tools, tracking available time, and confirming time use. Many students struggle with time management and balancing school, extracurricular activities, and maintaining relation positive. As a result, students overlay activity struggle to stay engaged in their academic studies, complete assignment in a reasonable time, and feel stress-free. And last but not least, environmental interveners. It is defined as the cognitive, emotional, and behavioral responses to stresses in the environment. Environmental stress can have a significant impact on the design of our environment. In modern societies, there is growing awareness of the effect of environmental stresses on human health and quality of life. Most of the previous research on human exposure to environmental stresses has concentrated on urban population. Now we go for research objective. Research objective number 1 is what factors influence stress among students at University Technology Mara. Number 2, is there any relationship between workload and stress? Number 3, is there any relationship between time management and stress? Number 4, is there any relationship between environmental interveners and stress? And lastly, what factors most influence stress among UITM students? For research question, there we have 5 questions in our research. One is what factors influence stress among students at University Technology Mara? Is there any relationship between workload and stress? Is there any relationship between time management and stress? Is there any relationship between environmental interveners and stress? And lastly, what factors most influence stress among UITM students? Significant for this study. For workload, this study for help lecturers provide students with low-cost, high-quality assignment. For time management, help students learn how to manage their time effectively in order to avoid stress. And environmental interveners, determining the environmental intervention that cause student stress. The management can assist in providing a better environment for the student to reduce stress. Limitation of the study. The study limitation will be limited to University Technology Mara students only. This study population is restricted to students at University Technology Mara in Malaysia. It is assumed that the Ministry of the Higher Education, University Administration, parents and students will be aware of the importance of identifying effective ways to deal with student stress. Many studies, including this one, have the major limitation of relying one of short studies or cross-sectional results. They are rarely replicated. Furthermore, this study is limited by reliance of respondents' attitudinal information. Another limitation factor is a sample profile. Using only University Technology Mara student as a sample is extremely limiting if the study's population is made up of people with different profile than students from other universities. Because of the sample is from one segment of the community, the findings may not be applicable to other segments of the community due to cultural differences. For definition terms, stress refers to Macedo 2012. Stress is defined as a difference in individual's mood and daily activity. It is become serious when stress occurs most frequently among high school students. Workload. Workload refers Rahim 2016 defined as the amount of work assigned to a person in a given time period. Time management refer Hidayah 2019 consider very important and can affect students stress as work through various tasks to achieve goals. And for environmental interveners, refer Mata Lamutu 2014 include sound pollution, classroom cleanliness, ventilation, and visual contamination.
Hi, I'm Nabila. Next, moving on to Chapter 2, Literature Review. Factors that influence stress among the students using technology MARA. This chapter includes a literature review that took a critical look at existing research relevant to the study. One of the most common mental health disorders among the students is stress. Students commonly self-report experience ongoing stress relating to their education, which we refer to the academic-related stress, such as a pressure to achieve high marks and concerns about receiving poor grade. According to the PESCO, Hatry and Parker 2020. The factor that influence stress among the student, number one, is workload. What is workload? Students are workload with research and assignment in their study. According to the Marsh and Blow 2007, and workload is the amount of work expected to finish the task, and students always work hard to fulfill their responsibility, which daily interpretation coming from unexpected source, such as from friends or from family. Students who do not have enough time or support are more likely to experience emotional breakdown and stress. Number 2, time management. Students always under pressure and difficult to manage their time in study. According to the research Waterworth 2019, every student is always under a lot of pressure to manage their workloads due to the deadlines they are given for the assignment. This occurs because they never have their own deadline to properly organize their tasks or homework. Number 3 is environment interveners. Students must adapt to a new environment. As a student, are more stressed during the registration process for college or the transition to college because they will be exposed to a new environment that never have encountered before this. Next, the relevant theory and conceptual framework. This is the diagram for conceptual framework. The relevant theory and conceptual framework were also explored in this chapter, literature review. This is model based on the review literature. The model can graphically depict the relationship between the independent variable and dependent variable. For the independent variable is workload, time management, environment interveners. Okay, next is dependent variable is stress. Going to the research hypothesis. Hypothesis number 1, there is a positive relationship between workload and stress. Hypothesis number 2, there is a negative relationship between time management and stress. Hypothesis number 3, there is a positive relationship between environmental interference and stress. Let's offer the literature review.
Assalamualaikum Doctor. My name is Nazatul. I would like to present on the chapter 3. For the research methodology, the procedures or strategies used to find, select and process and analyze information about a topic are referred to as research methodology. The methodology portion of a research paper allows the researcher to objectively examine the overall validity and reliability of the study. For the research design, the study used a descriptive survey method and adopted a quantitative approach to obtain information from respondents on the study aims. A self-report questionnaire was employed. Furthermore, the study approach enables the researcher to assemble the data into chart or graph, perform large-scale research, and give a lot more value and statistic. Okay, next, for the population, the whole group about whom you wish to make conclusion is referred to as a population. It may be described as the total number of analysis units, which are individuals or products having the qualities that the researcher wants to investigate. A sample is a subset of the population, whereas a population is full group of individuals with a specific set of characteristics. For this research, the population are students in University Technology Mara. For the sampling frame, a sampling frame is a set of real-life situations from which a sample will be taken. The population must be represented in the sample frame. As a result, inferences drawn from such a sample may not be generalizable to the entire population, or the sampling frame may not correspond to the target population. The distinction between a population and a sampling frame is that the population is broad and the frame is narrow. For this research, sampling frame for this study factor that influence stress among distant learning students in University Technology Mara. For sample size, the number of subjects involved in a sample size is referred to as the sample size in market research. The sample size formula developed by Krejci and Morgan in 1970 for categorical data will be briefly described because it provides equal sample size in all circumstances where the researcher modifies the t-value utilized depending on population size, which is required when the population size is 120 or fewer. Okay, so that's all from my side. I will pass to the next presenter, NOORFAEZAH. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is NOORFAEZAH binti JAAFAR. So I want to continue presenting chapter 3. Next is unit of analysis. Unit of analysis in this study is individuals. Unit of analysis in this study was determined by using research questionnaires. The data was gathered from UITM students. Next is data collection procedure. The data was collected by research questionnaires. The questionnaires then will be sent personally with a cover letter. The cover letter was highlighted with the study objective, purposes and respondents' pledge to maintain confidentiality of data. Then the process was run for 2 weeks and it is typically took a respondent for 10 to 15 minutes to complete the questionnaires. Next is instrument. The purpose of instrument is to demonstrate the outcomes that can be obtained depends on the objective in this study. The instrument will be divided into 5 sections. Section A, B, C, D, and E. The first section will be demographic. Section of demographic will focus on the population and the differences in gender and background of the respondents. Second section is independent variable for the study. 3 components make up the independent variable for the study, which is workload, time management, and environmental interveners. Next, final section is dependent variable of the study, which is stress. So the last one for chapter 3 is plan for data analysis. The purpose of plan for data analysis is help to establish data analysis approach for quantitative studies. These studies have three sections. The first one is a definition of data analysis, terms and concepts. The second section is description of common methods for summarizing study data. And the third one is methodology for discovering relevant statistical data. That's all from me. Thank you. Next is validity of the instruments. The validity refers how well the information gathered is relevant to the investigation. The instrument for this study was validated by Dr. Syukrina Alini binti Mat Ali.
Assalamualaikum, my name is FATIN binti RUSDI. So next, I will explain about the finding of study. For this study, we provide information from 160 respondents. Employees in the government sector have been given 31 sets of the questionnaire, and for the private sector, we are given the 71 sets of the questionnaire, and some of the questions were given to employees who were not now employed. And the purpose of this section is to examine the variable that affect stress among the University Technology MARA distant learning students, which is UITM. And then, as you can see, this table actually just 5% of the 160 survey were response, which is not complete, and 155 of them has respond and written to us, and that means that the response rate was 96%. Next is table 4.2 reveals that 68.4% of the respondents were between the age of 20 and 30, and followed by 26.6% of respondents between the age of 31 and 40, and only 4.5% from the age of 41 to 50, and 1.9% from the age of 51 and above. Next, gender of the respondents. Table show that breakdown of the population by the gender reveals that women made up 76.8 with 190 respondents of the population, while men made up only 23.2% with 36 respondents. Next, status marital of the respondents. The table above reveals that 60.4% with 93 respondents were single, and 38.7% with 60 respondents were married, and only 1.3% had experienced a divorce. And for rest of the respondent, the table above mentioned that the majority, 94.2% of the population with 146 respondents were Malay, and followed by Chinese 1.9%, and Indian 1.3%, and others is 2.6%. Next is occupations of the respondents. According to table 4.6, most respondents are 45.8% of the sample, with 71 respondents work in the private sector, while only 20% of them do so in the public sector. 53 of the total, or 34.2%, are unemployed. Okay, next is section B, assessing normality of data. A normality test has undergone for each variable to evaluate the data distribution. Data distribution normality was assessed using the value of skewness and kurtosis. The data will be considered as normal if the skewness and cortices is the range of plus or minus 3, which is Tawahnik and Field 2013. And this section discussed the result of normality tests of all variables such as workload, time management, and environment interveners and stress. Next is reliability analysis. The purpose of reliability analysis is to look at how consistent the items are that are intended to be measured. For dependability analysis, the Cronbach analysis, which is the Cronbach alpha value, which must be more than 0.6, will be utilized as a benchmark. And table 4.7 shows that 10 items of stress were 0.879, whereas 10 pieces of environmental interveners were 0.894. Items of workload were 0.796, and 5 items of time management were 0.583, and 7 items were environmental interveners. And the findings shows that every item's Cronbach alpha value was greater than 0.6, which is explained why every item has a high level or internal consistency with the intended measurement. Okay, next is descriptive statistic. Standard deviation. It's shown that environment interveners are the most factor that students become a stress, which is equal to 4, 37, and ST is 1 to 6, followed by time management is 4.13 and ST 137, and lastly workload, which is M4 as 0.7 and ST is 169. It shows that environment problem was a fact in their stress among students in UITM. Okay, last but not least, according to table 4.10, there was a positive and significant relationship between the stress and workload. So for R is 0.719 and P 0.05, and time management is 0.617 and P 0.05, and environmental intervention with R 0.699, P 0.05, and overall result shows that we had a big impact on stress. And for the lastly, hypothesis analysis. Hypothesis 1, there is a significant relationship between workload and stress among students in UITM. This statement is supported as there is positive relationship between workload assessment and stress with the value of R719 and P 0.05. And for the hypothesis 2, there is a significant relationship between time management and stress among students in UITM. This statement is supported as there is a positive relationship between workload of assignment and stress with the value of R617 and P is equal to 0.05. And hypothesis 3, there is a significant relationship between environment interveners and stress among students in UITM. This statement is supported as there is a positive relationship between workload of assignment and stress with the value of R699 and P is 0.05.
Thank you, Fatin. Assalamualaikum and a very good day to you, madam. My name is BINTI ZULKEFLEE. I would like to continue the presentation with Chapter 5, Discussion, Recommendation and Conclusions. Our first research question is, what are the factors that influence stress among students in University Technology Mara? The findings revealed that the students had a lot of experience and practice with workload, time management, and environmental interventions. This due to the fact that all of the mean values were high. All of the factors mentioned were difficult and necessitated the development of a strategy or a new solution to reduce risks and costs during the MCO. Our second research question is there a relationship between workload and stress? Workload has a positive and strong relationship with stress. According to the findings support the notion that the workload is perceived to be higher due to the self-paced nature of the classes. Our third research question is there a relationship between the time management and stress? According to West ETL 2011, a strong understanding of time management is required. Students who do not plan their time efficiently will run out of content before they run out of time. As a result, students are compelled to devote a substantial portion of their study time to online activities. Our fourth research question is there a relationship between environmental interveners and stress? Emergency migration to online learning poses a number of challenges for students in both developed and developing countries. If you live in a developing country, you may face difficulties such as poor internet connection and intermittent power, as well as limited resources such as study space or furniture. Online education cannot be used in developing countries where the majority of students lack internet access due to technical or financial constraints. Our last research question is which factors most influence stress among UITM students? The findings reveal workload and environmental factors were discovered to be the most influential factors on stress. Due to insufficient preparation for the virtual classes offered to compensate for the lack of face-to-face classes. Moving on to the next slide, the recommendation for this research is to minimize the workload. University resource planners place a greater emphasis on improving the quality of the online learning platform's interface. Students should be able to complete their assignments with less stress. Teaching methods and assessment for learning outcomes should be modified to reduce the number of online activities assigned to students. Next, the strategy in time management. As an online student, you may be working full-time, caring for your family, or juggling other responsibilities. Students who learn to manage their time more effectively are more productive at work and in their personal life, as well as better learners. Lastly, to change the environment, this study found that as the pandemic progressed, students' working conditions improved significantly, but boredom and perceived contact with other students and teachers decreased significantly. Student emotional well-being can be enhanced if they can connect and communicate with one another as well as with their lecturers. As the conclusion, research enables you to explore the world from various perspectives and promotes deeper understanding. In some fields, research is critical to success. It may not be absolutely necessary in some cases, but it has numerous advantages. Research broadens your knowledge base. Research helps you figure out what you are dealing with. Research teaches you better judgment. Research is interesting to you, and research can help you build trust. That's all from me. Thank you.